Before diving into this incredible story, remember to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Here, every story has something to say, and you won't want to miss a single one. New York's International Airport is buzzing with activity. Screens flash, suitcases roll across the floor, and announcements blare in every language. Amidst this flurry of activity, Amelia Johnson, a seasoned 34-year-old pilot, walks confidently toward her plane. Her immaculate uniform, gleaming badge, and logbook reflect years of hard work and discipline. As she prepares to go through security, an elegant but visibly haughty woman, Margaret Whitmore, notices her. Margaret is known for her social influence and sharp temper. She stares at Amelia with a mixture of contempt and malicious curiosity. For no apparent reason, she begins to speak loudly enough for everyone to hear. Really? This woman is going to pilot this plane? I highly doubt she even knows how to hold the controls properly. The passengers around them turned, some surprised, others embarrassed by the unprovoked attack. The security guards exchanged awkward glances, unable to intervene without causing a scene. Amelia, aware that reacting in the moment could worsen the situation, clenched her fists under her jacket and replied with icy calm. I am the captain of this flight. All my licenses are up to date and verifiable. Margaret sneers, oblivious to Amelia's dignity and inner strength, and continues her public humiliation. She demands to see her certificates, insisting that every passenger be allowed to observe and judge. Murmurs rise in the room, some silently applauding Amelia's courage, others siding with Margaret out of mere social conformity. At that precise moment, an invisible tension settled in the air, a clash of wills, where the hatred and contempt of a powerful woman collided with the competence, dignity and patience of a black pilot, ready to show the world that true strength is not measured by words, but by actions. The departure lounge is packed with passengers hurrying towards their gates. Amelia Johnson walks confidently, pilot's helmet in hand, ready to head to the cockpit. But as soon as she approaches the security zone, Margaret Whitmore steps into her path. Margaret, dressed in an impeccable cream suit, raises her voice, drawing the attention of the passengers around her. Wait a minute. Are you sure you want to let her through? She said, pointing at Amelia. You're the pilot? Really? I doubt she has the necessary experience for this flight. The passengers turn to watch the scene. Some whisper amongst themselves, others display expressions of embarrassment or disapproval. The humiliation is public, and Margaret savors every second, her cruel smile reflecting her satisfaction. Amelia, aware that any sudden movement could worsen the situation, remains impressively calm. She takes out her documents and presents them to Margaret and the security officers. Here are all my licenses and flight certificates. I am the captain of this flight. You can check anything you want. But Margaret snickers and pretends to examine the documents, while showing them to the passengers as if she wanted to convince them that Amelia was not trustworthy. An uneasy security guard tries to intervene. Madam, I think you're going a little too far. But Margaret ignores this and continues her campaign of humiliation, speaking loudly enough for the passengers to hear every word. You see, she's normal. There's nothing special about her. I don't understand why they let her fly that plane. Inside, Amelia felt a cold anger but decided to remain dignified. She knew she possessed the competence and professionalism that Margaret could never match. She finished presenting her documents, raised her head confidently, and walked toward the plane, each step echoing as an act of silent courage. As Amelia boards the plane, she casts one last glance at Margaret. In her eyes shines a determination that suggests this public humiliation will not go unpunished, and that the whole world may soon find out. A few minutes after takeoff, the plane glides silently through the clear sky, its engines humming with controlled power. Amelia Johnson, seated in the cockpit, checks each instrument with meticulous precision. Her co-pilot, Daniel Brooks, watches her respectfully. Is everything all right, Captain? He asks, a hint of concern in his voice. Amelia nods. Everything is under control, but stay alert, Daniel. Suddenly, a red warning light illuminates on the dashboard, signaling a minor but critical hydraulic system failure. The alarm is brief, but enough to sow doubt in the mind of any less experienced pilot. Margaret Whitmore, sitting in the front row, notices the signal and tries to panic the passengers. "What does that mean? Is the plane going to fall?" she cried, her voice piercing the cabin. The murmurs intensify. Passengers take out their phones, some start filming, others watch fearfully. The tension becomes palpable. But Amelia remains perfectly calm. Every movement is precise, every decision calculated. She consults the instruments, adjusts the controls, and communicates with the control tower. London Control, this is Amelia Johnson, Flight 207. We have a minor hydraulic issue, but we're managing it. Maintain standard route, we're correcting it. She applied emergency procedures with exceptional skill, restoring hydraulic pressure and completely stabilizing the aircraft. The passengers, initially panicked, felt a sigh of relief upon seeing the pilot's unwavering confidence. Margaret, meanwhile, froze. Her cruel smile vanished. She observed Amelia, realizing for the first time that the woman she had humiliated just minutes earlier possessed a composure and skill that no one in that cabin could deny. When Amelia finished her checks, she straightened up and said calmly, "Everything is under control. We will continue the flight as normal." The passengers burst into applause, impressed and relieved. Margaret, humiliated in the shadow of her own racism, understands that her arrogance has been completely overtaken by Amelia's professionalism and courage. In the cockpit, Amelia exchanges a silent glance with Daniel, a mixture of pride and determination. She knows that this public humiliation could soon be seen by the whole world, and that social justice, this time, might finally prevail. The plane landed smoothly at London Airport. The passengers disembarked, still in shock and admiring the pilot's composure. Meanwhile, in the cabin, Amelia remained professional, stowed her documents, and greeted the crew and ground staff. But outside, an unexpected scene was unfolding. A passenger, James Miller, filmed the entire humiliation inflicted on Amelia by Margaret, as well as her incredible control of the in-flight incident. The video is clear. It shows Margaret sneering, her gaze arrogant, followed by Amelia's calm and expert reaction, which saves the flight. A few hours later, the video was posted on social media. It quickly went viral, reaching millions of views. Hashtags began to circulate, #RespectAmelia, #CourageousPilot, #HumiliatedRacism. International media outlets picked up the story. Television channels broadcast the footage, analyzed the events, and invited experts to discuss systemic racism and prejudice in aviation and society at large. Amelia was interviewed for her strength, dignity, and professionalism. "I didn't do anything special," she said humbly, "just my job. But I think it's important for the world to see that prejudice has no place, especially when it targets someone solely because of their skin color." Meanwhile, Margaret Whitmore is overwhelmed by criticism and backlash. Her arrogance and humiliating remarks have been seen by the world. Social media and the press are questioning her credibility and influence. Sponsors and business partners are beginning to sever ties with her, and her reputation is severely damaged. At the same time, Amelia received messages of support from all over the world, fellow pilots, equality associations, and ordinary citizens. She became a symbol of courage and justice, proving that even in the face of injustice and humiliation, dignity and professionalism triumph. Margaret's racist act, initially considered a private and petty incident, transformed into a global shockwave, initiating discussions about tolerance, respect, and equality, and inspiring thousands of people to denounce racism in their own environments. A few weeks after the incident, the world continued to discuss the humiliation Amelia Johnson had suffered and her exemplary response. Television networks, newspapers, and social media closely followed the fallout. Amelia was invited to international conferences on leadership, equality, and the fight against racism. She became a living symbol of courage and dignity in the face of injustice. Margaret Whitmore, meanwhile, saw her reputation plummet. Sponsors who had trusted her broke their contracts. Her public appearances were cancelled, and she was openly criticized by the media. What had begun as an act of gratuitous arrogance turned into a global humiliation. The videos, shared and commented on everywhere, showed that her racist words and behavior had far more serious consequences than she had anticipated. In the aviation industry, measures are being taken to strengthen tolerance and respect for all employees, regardless of their background. Awareness and anti-racism programs, directly inspired by the incident, are being implemented in several airlines. Amelia, for her part, continues to fly, always with the same professionalism. But this time, she knows that her name is known throughout the world, and that her courage has inspired real and lasting change. In an interview, she stated, "This was not my personal victory. It was a victory for all those who suffer injustice and racism every day. I hope it shows that with calm, competence, and dignity, we can transform injustices into universal lessons." Thus, what began as a simple humiliation transformed into a global event, reminding everyone that courage and competence can overcome arrogance and hatred, and that every unjust act can, paradoxically, become the catalyst for positive change.